This is my day 2 review of the Silva method. I'm in Farmington, Connecticut, and I was reviewing the Silva method. Now, what's really brilliant about the Silva method is after you take it the first time, Jose, when he first started the system, wanted people to be able to come back and review it. So you have there's a grad rate that's like 10% of the original fee to take it, and you could review it at a really reasonable rate. So the first time I took it in Toronto, Ontario with Stephen Dobosh, who is leading Silva Method Canada. And however, I wanted to learn from Ken Casilla. Now I think I'm actually pronouncing his last name wrong. I think it's Casilla. I have to check with him. I think I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. Anyway, Ken is the last teacher still teaching that learned from Jose himself. And now I talked about this in the first one. He turned out to be the youngest certified instructor. He was certified at 19. He's 73. He's still teaching. It's amazing. I have to say, this was like the best course I've taken. It's life-changing, and now that I've even taken it from Ken, it's taken it to a whole new level. If you don't know what the Silva method is about, go over to the Silva method, CT stands for Connecticut.com, and go check out all of Ken's free stuff, his videos, his intros, get his free newsletter. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to check it out. So this is what we did day 2. Now, I was really excited for this part because it was one of the meditations that I struggled with. So we did something called the long relax. And what's really fantastic is if you work with Ken, he gives you the audio of him doing the meditation for free as part of your, as part of a bonus package. So I've already signed up for that, and he suggests you do it for 90 days. Now, what was really interesting was the minute he said that, I had a visceral reaction of like, no, it's too much. And that's why we're in the Silva method, and that's why we are learning to be comfortable with the unknown and what isn't comfortable. So now that I have downloaded that recording, I'll be able to listen to him for 90 days. Now, this is a 30-minute meditation, and it basically gets you to what they call level. And it's a big commitment. So one of the things this is a great quote. It's a big commitment to love yourself. So what I'm reading from is all my notes on the course. This isn't the course itself. You have to come to the course. First of all, I couldn't do justice here. And second of all, I'm only in the midst of Silva training to become an instructor. I'm not qualified yet. And I wouldn't give this stuff away for free. It's too valuable. And he said, we are inner space astronauts. What? That is so brilliant. And then I made a note to myself that said, why do I feel I don't have enough time to do everything I want to do? Because I'm running 3 businesses. So I have Words for Winning, which is where I'm doing this video. And so this is Words for Winning. I also have Contest Queen, where I teach people how to win giveaways. And then the poor girl that's asleep is Idea Majesty, who does sweepstakes marketing. And he told a great story of one of the students, Mike, and a cow and a black Mercedes. Oh my God. Do I forget the story? There was something Mike wanted to do, and he did the Silva meditation, and he was always dreaming about a black Mercedes. And then he ended up in traffic behind a black Mercedes, and when he pulled up to it, the license plate said Silva. So he knew which direction he was supposed to go in. But I don't remember the whole story now that I made cryptic notes. Also, and I like this, now a lot of the Silva grads know that, or you might even know this, that the better and better came from Emile Coulier, who is French. And so it's translated. So whenever somebody says, how are you doing? And you go better and better, you know they're a Silva grad or have read the book. But Ken reminded us that better and better doesn't mean perfect, because there is no perfect. We're messy humans. And in life, you get what you need, not what you want. I believe that is like the Rolling Stones song. And we're all using faculties of genius. Now, this is interesting. Visualization is remembering what you imagined. Oh, that is so fantastic, because I also teach Helene Hadsel's SPEC method. And so many people struggle with the P, project. So this is a great thing that I'm going to add in. I'm going to give him a quote for that. And Einstein said, what we imagine is a preview of what's to come. And I believe, I could be wrong, it was Yogananda that was in the United States, and someone wanted him to look at some land, and he didn't want to look at it because he said, if I look at it, I will see a sanctuary there and it's going to be built. And finally he peaked, and it's been built there ever since. Then he showed the famous Napoleon Hill quote to remind us, what your mind can conceive and you believe you will achieve. And he referenced some doctors that he worked with, so I'm not going to go into those. I'm going to look all these people up, actually. I want to study them. And now here's what's interesting, and I never thought of that when I'm teaching the SPEC method. There's 3 different styles of visualization, because some people have aphasia. So I have talked about that in some of my videos. Some people have aphasia. So I tell them that it's not actually literally seeing something in mind's eye that's important, because it's more about the energy, and you can visualize by having a journal. You can visualize by saying affirmations. You can visualize by creating a vision board. You don't actually have to see it in your mind's eye, because it's the energy and the feeling you give to it that's more important than actually seeing it. But he said, and I did not know this or even think of it, that there's 3 different visualization styles: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. I was like, oh, that's so brilliant. How come I didn't? And again, he repeated what I knew, that it all boils down to the energy, the feeling behind the idea, and in your imagination. So that's so important. Now, they reviewed the memory pegs that Jose created. And then actually the images that are in the binder, I found out, were drawn by one of the students, and they loved them, and they kept them, and they added them to the binder. Now, Ken stopped doing the demos of how he remembers everything with the memory pegs. He says that's kind of silly. And it actually wasn't even Jose's system. He borrowed the system with permission to add into the Silva system. So even the Silva system is a composite of different modalities put into one, which is why I think it's one of the most powerful, because it's everything together. And then we worked on the 3-finger technique. And this is basically just a trigger to help us get into alpha. And then he reminded us, which I've heard many, many times, we become like the people we spend the most time with. So look around and see who you're spending your time with, and then decide if that's where you want your energy to go, and if they're going in the direction you want to go. And if not, then you need to change that circle around you. He said the problem with the current school system is it's the rote memory system, And it's not the best way to learn for all people. And then he talked about the memory pegs, and it was phonetic, because I thought it was kind of odd because it was T and Noah and May and Ray and Law and Jaw and Key and Fee and By and Toes. And that's the first 10. There's actually 100. I forgot there was 100. The whole list is in the binder. It was a phonetic system for mental gymnastics. And, it was a graduate. Here, I have it down. It was a graduate. So on page 52 of the Silva the Silva Life Systems Manual, there's all 1 to 100. So if you've taken the Silva method, go pull out your manual and check that out. It wasn't designed as a learning tool. It was an exercise for brain gymnastics to increase your creativity and your imagination. Which, if you think about manifesting, that's what you want to do. You want to imagine and manifest. And so then we did the 3-finger technique meditation. And there's lots of things in place protecting Jose's legacy, that Ken is one of them because he's doing this work. And one of the things Ken is doing to do that is demystifying Jose's techniques, because Jose isn't here anymore. And you know what I found out? That August 11th is his birthday. And day 4 of this course is on August 11th. So the first day was August 8th, which was the Lionsgate portal. And August 11th, which is the last day, is Jose's birthday. What? Divine timing. Crazy. There's some old articles. I got to dig some of these up. There was a 1974 Life magazine article about Silva and other courses. And of course, they love Silva and they gave it the most attention. So I'm really curious as to what was in that article. I'd love to find it. And so again, we were talking about the 3 fingers, and there's, like, of course, nerves in the fingers. Like we know of reflexology, because there's nerves in the feet, and it corresponds to different parts of the body. The same are in the hands, and the same is on the face. And this is why mudras work. There's different mudras, right? We didn't study the mudras. He's like, I'm not going to go into other modalities. We have limited time. It's 4 days from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. There is no time to talk about other modalities, even though he knows they exist. He says, this is too much to squish in. We can't be diverging, even though he would love to. But this is why the 3 fingers work, because they're a type of mudra. And one of the things he said is with, cars and things around you, he says, one of the things you want to always say before you get in the car is, I will always drive with alpha awareness. And then he talked a little bit about the Jose's family, and he had 10 kids. And I've never been able to figure out all the names. And I think Paula was his wife. There was an Isabella and a Margie, a John, a Tony, a Diana, a Laura, a Jose Jr., and Anna. I think I'm missing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 out of 10. I don't know who the other 2 are. And one of the really neat stories was because of the time that Jose lived and his children were born, Tony, one of the 3 sons, was drafted, and he was in Vietnam, and he would always do the 3-finger technique. And he was very good. All of a sudden, sometimes his intuition would kick in and he'd yell, stop. And everyone would freeze. And then they would find that they just got protected from some kind of booby trap or something, which is amazing. So he used it to, keep himself and his compadres safe. And Ken said Jose was a very strict instructor. There was no diverging. with Jose. He kept, and I kind of, now that he said that, I kind of got that sense from reading Helene's books and her stories about Jose, how he would tell her what to do and she didn't have a choice. He used a voice that meant like, we will, she would say something and he says, we'll discuss it later, which means it's not no or yes or whatever it was, like his way or the highway. And she was a grown woman, but he used that tone. I guess he had it with 10 kids. There's a lot of practical applications for the 3-finger method. We went through some. I didn't write the examples down. And he reminded us again, there is no perfection. There is no perfection. So for example, one thing you want to say, so for example, I did write an example down. So one example was using the 3-finger technique and saying, I want the perfect gift for, so-and-so at the perfect price. And he said, no, that's not good. He said, you want to say, I want to find the most useful gift for so-and-so at the best possible price. That's a little more accurate for that. You can use the 3-finger technique to make better, wiser decisions, stay in the flow, connect with the universe because it always has your back, and live your optimal life. Not your best life, your optimal life. Robert Ohado always says that there is no best life. There's only an optimal life. And you want to focus on the outcome. You don't want to focus on how something's going to happen or the steps to do something. You want to focus on the end result. That is, again, the same as Helene, the same as Tag, all these teachers. Focus on the end result. And Ken, because he was terrible in school, like if you saw my video on day 1, he was terrible in school. Like he struggled with engineering and then he switched. And after he learned about the Silva method, he used 3 fingers to get a 3.8 in university. Isn't that awesome? So now, of course, he had to study. I mean, he had to know what he was talking about, but he used it to help him. So have a goal before reading any inspirational, motivational book. What do you want to get out of it? Now, that's a good quote because I write motivational, inspirational, spiritual books. I published number 10 last month. Very exciting. And I read a lot. So that's a good thing for me to ask. What do I want to get out of it? And I can also conversely say, when I'm publishing a book, what do I want my readers to get out of it? So put my intention and energy into the book so that when you pick it up, you can receive that intention. Now, this is very funny. I swear he was talking to me. For those of us with very large to-do lists, guilty, every hour, take a pause, do the 3-to-1 method, remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. And so you're taking alpha breaks. I am going to implement this. This is like number 1 tip for me. That's amazing. Oh, thanks, Vanessa. And then he said that they had a sister Marie Garange was the first clergy to become a Silva instructor in 1966. And they even had an in-house psychologist who was Dr. Joe DeSalle. How fascinating. Now, they talked about the 3-finger technique and the 5-finger technique, which is this. So you have these 2 down, touching your palm. So the thumb is the physical, the pointer is the mental, the middle is the spiritual or the why, the ring finger is the emotional, and the pinky is your intuitive intuition. And then we did the mirror the mind exercise, which was really good for me because I did struggle with that one. So it was nice to have it repeated by a different teacher so that I could absorb it in a different way. This is the other reason Jose wanted people to retake the course, because if you took it from different teachers, then you hear things in a different way. Also, you are a different person because as we grow and evolve, we are different people. And so the Carolyn that took it originally is not the Carolyn that attended this session. And it won't be the Carolyn that attends the next one. Right? You're the same way. We're all the same. We're always growing. We're always changing. We're always evolving. And so that's why sometimes if you read a book and then years later you pick it up and you read it again, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that part? Well, because you were ready to hear that part. You're a different person now. So we did the Mirror of the Mind, which I found fascinating. It was great. He believes it's the ultimate reframing and personal development technique in the whole program. I would agree with that. And he told the story of Greg Louganis and a lot of it, because the Olympics are on. Are they still on? I've lost track of time. And when they're interviewing a lot of the athletes, they're always talking about the visualization and how they're living in the end result. So it's not new, this thing, and a lot of top athletes do it. Greg Louganis is a Silva grad. Who knew? And Bose, you know, like 3M and Bose machines, Almond, I hope I wrote that name right. Bose took Silva and also for the employees, they sent their employees lots of company, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Bob Stilla, the owner of that, took Silva. And then he said he hired his own shaman and had a meditation room in the company. How funky is that? I love that. So one of the things that I struggled with was the blue screen, white screen in the Mirror of the Mind. So the blue frame, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it. The blue frame is the way things have been. And you want to use the past tense, not how things are, how things have been. So you already want to push it into the past. And you don't want to make it very vivid. You want to almost have it muted, like muted tones, picture. And you only apparently do the blue frame once. And then the white frame screen, which is on the left, is the end result, vivid and bright as day, almost like you could step into the picture. The white frame has the most energy. So it's because when you shine a light through a prism, right, white is all the colors and blue is one color on the prism, so it has less energy, right? So you look at your current situation on the blue and you put it in the past. So at the end of the day, he says he wants you every day to do a review at the end of the day. Gratitude for what went right and forgive yourself for what went wrong. Because again, we are messy humans. So that was good. I hope I haven't gone to day 3 yet already. No, we're like, I said it was from 9 to 5. Oh yeah, still got like 3 pages. Like, yeah, it was a long day. A lot of meditating. Mirror of the Mind goal today. Oh, I wrote down my million, my goal, and I want to increase my business income to further achieve some of the goals that I want to achieve. And one of the things I've been doing is imagining, envisioning a gold light around all my books, my website, my social media, my newsletters, like this live stream, you know, like a little gold, and that I am reaching the people that need to hear this message. And so that, you know, whoever needs to hear and learn from my teachings and all the teachers that I'm reproducing and sharing, like bringing back to life. Like the last book was out of print for 42 years. And you can garner that info once again. So it's really cool that I'm bringing back all these things that have disappeared. It's kind of like going on thrift books and finding a really, an out of print book, and there's only a few around. But now you can get it on like Kindle and Kobo and Amazon and eventually Audible. Like, cool, right? So he said he also uses it. He's also had students use it to lose weight. The blue has to be your weight now and your clothing size, and the white screen has to be the weight you want to be and your clothing size. So that's, a lot of students have used it to lose weight because that is a popular one. Because what you're doing is you're rewiring your brain for success. So you're attuning for success. I desire, I want, and then focus on the benefits. So why do I want that success? I want that success because then it will allow me to reach more people and help people in new ways. So for example, the reason I started doing Audible is not everybody enjoys reading. Not everybody has time to read. So making the Name It and Claim It game available on Audible allows people in those two categories to now garner Helene's wisdom. But it costs money to rent the studio and hire the producer to make those audios, and also all my time in the studio and creating the PDF that accompanies the book. So, having the income allows me to do more and more and more of those types of projects. So I have a list of all the projects that I want to do to help more people reach their, have their optimal life, like reach their potential and explore that potential and try different modalities. And so the more funds that I have, I'm able to do that. It's kind of like in an airplane, they always say, put your own mask on first before you help others. So having the resources, the financial resources, my financial resources increased will allow me to help more people because I'm resourced first, and then I can take those resources and pass them along. It's kind of like the Happy Money with Ken Honda, where he talks about circulating money. So it's going to come in and go out. So you buy a book that helps you, then I get that money and I turn around and I spend that money to do something else to help more people. You see how it's circulating? So I'm happy, I'm helping people. I'm resourced, you're happy because you're learning, and then other people are happy because they're getting to do something different. It's kind of cool when you see that cycle. So a lot of people use the attuning for success to get out of survivor mode and into thriver mode, right? So, attuning for success. There's 1 is your desire. 2 is your belief in yourself. I'm good at that one. 3 is your expectancy. 4 is action. Nothing happens until we take action. Well, for example, one of my actions is doing a live stream to reach new people that would never have heard of me before or heard of my books or being able to help them. 5 is persistence and commitment. Yes, we're posting all the time and I'm always writing new books. Like, I remember the first book I ever wrote and someone said something to me. I can't remember. I was doing an interview of some sort and I had handed him a copy of my book. And I said, I'm also an author. And he kind of looked at it. And I got the impression like he didn't understand how much work it was to write a book and to publish a book and to edit a book and to lay out a book, all the things. And I said, a book doesn't write itself. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into writing a book. I'm getting a little faster at it just because I've done so many now. And then what you always want to say as you are striving for your goals, may the best for all involved occur. What a great thing. I almost want to put that, maybe I should write that in the back of every book, the last line. So then he talked about the fantastic voyage, where we're all connected, how we're multidimensional, we're really non-local, we're all interconnected. So we do all these meditations and we zoom in and zoom out, zoom in and zoom out. That's a tongue twister. He talked about having subjective education, and your points of reference are your experience. And that was interesting because a lot of people have different experiences. So I might have an experience of something and I say, well, that doesn't work. And you're like, well, that's crazy because I did the same thing and it totally worked for me, because we have different experiences. And there's, I remember in Toastmasters, because I've been a Toastmaster for years, somebody did a speech on perspective. And one of the images she used in her presentation was this great big raspberry bush, and half the bush had been completely picked clean and the other one was full, and she had two people looking at it, and someone was talking about how amazing this raspberry bush was, and the other person was like, this is terrible, it's totally bare. Well, they were looking at it from two different perspectives, and it's kind of the same thing. Or it's like that one where we've seen where it's like a 6 or a 9 depending on which end you were standing at. So I put here, Jose used the word laboratory. Oh, yeah. So one of the things he was concerned with back in the day was a lot of people thought all this stuff was too woo-woo. Like, you gotta remember, this was like 60 years ago. And so he used the word laboratory, like when you create your laboratory, it's one of the exercises where you go into meditation, you create a laboratory, and you create counselors and guides to help you, because they're all connected. And it came about through his daughter. Ooh, hold on, I've been talking for a while. And it is dry. So he used the term laboratory to sound more scientific. It was because of all the critique and criticism he was getting, and he wanted to be as scientific as possible. And that makes a lot of sense. Sorry. So one of the things you do is when you create your laboratory, you keep the south wall blank, because that's where you're going to be projecting all your stuff. And he talked about modeling. Excellent. I think this is the last page. Yeah, it's the last page. Because I think I am talked out. And you're modeling excellence in real life or in the laboratory. You always want to model excellence. When you get the counselors, there's the whole process and how your counselors come in. They say, don't change the counselors. And when you're thinking of, and when you're in the process, always think of people that you admire. Because in your laboratory, you're in a creative dimension. It's where you want to find inspiration, where you want to model things, where you want to do some inner work, where you want to do some forgiveness, where you want to do casework, and where you want to do healing. So that was it. And then, and you're supposed to repeat the 3-to-1 method and the 10-to-1 method over and over and over again. You're supposed to practice. The more you practice, the better you get. You get better and better. You don't get perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes better and better. And that was the end of day 2. So come back when I do day 3, and we will discuss the first 2 days are the Silva life system. And then the second 2 days, days 3 and 4, are the Silva intuition system. So it changes. So you get a whole different book, and we work on different things, but it basically builds. So what you're learning in the first 2 days it all leads to what we did in the afternoon on the 4th day. So it's doing that. So I highly recommend checking out Ken and the Silva Method, CT.com, and all of his free material, just to get a sense of what Ken is all about and why I highly recommend that you attend one of the sessions. This isn't a paid ad. I get no affiliation. I don't make any money from Ken. I just was so blown away by this course that I just want other people to experience what I did. So enjoy. And if you have any questions, just send me a message and I'll answer you, possibly in another video.